Hey everybody, this is Grady at Twin Creek Audio, back in the studio today to apparently knock acoustic guitars on the arm of my chair. No, to actually test out the Soundtracs Topaz Project 8 recording console and record a song and mix a song using the console. I'm going to try and use only the console preamps and EQs and a couple pieces of outboard gear that I have connected, which if you saw the video, the last video, part 3 about the Topaz, then you saw I used connected a DBX 163X compressor, a Symmetrix 501 compressor, and an Alesis Wedge reverb. I've got all those connected to the console to use when I get ready to mix this song. So I'm using a song off of one of my older CDs. The song is called The Tallest Sky. It was on the Subliminal Moonshine album that I released back 10 years ago in 2010. I'll put a suggested link up here to that original track of mine on YouTube Music. So for each instrument, I'm going to describe what I'm using, the mics and everything, the setup, and then show a segment of me recording each part. I probably won't play the entire track all the way through for each section because that would get really long and boring. But I will play the entire song towards the end of the video after I have everything tracked. Probably go into a little bit about mixing through the console using some of the outboard gear, the EQ and that kind of thing. To start out this track, I'm going to be using this Alvarez Model 5046 vintage Japanese acoustic guitar. This guitar does have a Dean Markley pickup, which is not original. You can see where there's a gap there where there used to be the original pickup, and of course the controls are mounted into the top of the guitar, which is something you saw in the 70s like this. This guitar is on loan from Hot Strings Music, so I'm going to use this guy to track the main acoustic guitar track. And I'm going to use, put this down over here, I'm going to use this microphone on the acoustic guitar. This is a Nady SCM 1000 multi-pattern large diaphragm condenser microphone. It has Omni, Figure 8, and Cardioid pattern. I've got the mic in Cardioid pattern to use on acoustic guitar. I think it's a pretty good mic. It sounds really good on acoustic guitar. So I'm going to start out with that. So I've got the mic preamp gain on channel 6 for the acoustic guitar set like that. And I have the fader kind of pulled back a little bit. See where we can, there's 6 right there. So the fader is not at 0, I've got it pulled down to -5. And then the mic preamp's there, and of course I have phantom power on. The next thing I like to do when I'm recording a song on my own in the studio, after I put down a guide track of the main instrument, like the acoustic guitar in this case, I'll do the drums next. That way when I do the bass guitar and other instruments, the drum track's already there and I can lock the other instruments to the drums, especially the bass guitar. This is the kit that I'm using, the 1967 Ludwig kit. I'm using a Glenn Johns style drum mic setup with only 4 mics this time, and I do have some close-ups to show you of the mics and the settings on the Soundtracs Topaz console that I'm using for this drum track. Behind the kit to get some close-ups here, this is a Audix D1 that I have on the snare drum. I've got this Rode NT1 over here facing across the ride cymbal, and the floor tom down here. I did a lot of experimenting on getting these mics in the right spot to sound proper. I spent most of the day yesterday trying to figure that out. Here, let's zoom in so you can see that Rode NT1. She's a pretty mic. It's a good sounding mic. The second NT1 is up here over the kit. I apologize about the lighting behind here. The lighting's not ideal, and behind the kit there's no way to light it from this side. There's just not enough space back here. But that's the overhead above the drums. Those two mics aren't connected. Those are what I usually use when I'm close micing drums, but not using those today. We'll go around and look at the kick drum mic. There's an Audix D6 on the kick drum. Ooh, camera flashlight. There's the inside of the kick drum. I do have just a small throw pillow on the very bottom of it, and it is not exactly up against the front head. I like to get a lot of resonance and low end out of my kick drum, so I don't fill it up with a lot of pillows, just one, otherwise it gets a little uncontrollable. And this is an Aquarian Super Kick resonant head on the kick drum. Batter head is a Remo Weather King pinstripe with a Remo kick pad, and I'm using a Yamaha chain driven kick pedal. Here are the settings on the mic preamps for the 4 drum mics. Channel 1 is the kick drum with the Audix D6. Channel 2 is the snare with the Audix D1. 3 and 4 are both Rode NT1s. So I have the phantom power turned on. Those don't need a whole lot of gain on a drum set, so I've got them down. EQ is all turned off, and let's look at where I've got the channel faders set down here. On the original version of this song, on the Subliminal Moonshine album, I used brushes. I didn't play any hi-hat. It was all just snare drum, kick drum, I think a little bit of toms. But this time I'm going to change it up. I'm going to use these like real cheap hot sticks that I bought from Amazon. They've got some blue painter's tape on the base of them because the coating was starting to slide off the bottom and the cap fell off a few times. But I love these things, and I think they're really good for the vibe of the song and show off some of the tone of the Soundtracs Topaz. And it's raining really hard here today, so apologize for the roar in the background. That's actually the rain hitting the roof. Successfully recorded the acoustic guitar track. I think that sounds good, and then got ready to do the drums and realized I did not have a way to get the signal from the Topaz to my headphones. The headphone amp is wired to this patch panel with the 16 mic inputs, and there's 4 headphone outs over here. So I had to dig for some more cables and climb behind the rack once again to connect the B channel of my headphone amp to the studio outs on the Topaz. So there you can see I've connected the studio outs to the back of my Carvin headphone amp. I really like this Carvin headphone amp, the H400. I'm going to probably plug in the channel 3, and you can see it has an A input and a B input. So the A input to this headphone amp is coming from the Soundcraft Sapphire, and now the B input is coming from the studio outs on the Soundtracs Topaz. So I can hear myself when I'm trying to do hear the click track and the acoustic guitar, so I can play some drum tracks. I got Gary helping me out here in the studio now, and we're debating on something. I decided to use the DBX 163 compressor on the snare drum during the tracking phase. So on the way into the computer, I'm going to go ahead and compress the snare just a little bit with the 163X, and probably going to use the Symmetrics 501 down there and compress the kick drum a little bit with that on the way in, so I can free up the compressor, since I'm pretending like I only have 2 compressors. Kind of doing this 90s style with just the Topaz, 2 compressors, and a Alesis wedge reverb. Now it's time to record a bass track for this song. I've got my trusty Squier Precision Bass Deluxe with the P bass and the J bass pickup. I'm just going to run everything wide open because I think this bass sounds great that way. I'm running this into a Hosa Sidekick passive DI box that I have very professionally stacked on top of some storage bins that I store cables and things in. I'll put a picture of that up here or over here. And then that DI is running straight into channel 5 on the Soundtracs Topaz. And here's the gain settings I have on the preamp. I had to give it quite a bit of gain to get this bass at a good level, but it sounds good. So there's that setting and then the fader setting. And I'm going to put all those in little picture windows wherever I can fit them when I'm editing this. So here we go. Try to lay down a bass track. I've set this up to record some vocals now for the song using the Soundtracs Topaz. I've got the same vocal mic, or the same large diaphragm condenser mic that I used on the acoustic guitar, the Nady SCM 1000, the really good mic for the money. So I've got that set to the cardioid polar pattern, and I've got it running into the mic preamp on channel 8 of the Soundtracs Topaz. And here's the mic preamp settings. I have the gain cranked up on that and the fader set at around 0. That way I don't have to do yet another screenshot on here. So the fader's just at 0. And then I've got the Symmetrics 501 compressor on the insert for some vocal compression on the way in. And I'm going to get started with that and see what that sounds like.
Wake up to the sunrise, except the sun hurts my eyes. I can't see what's wrong with me. I can't explain what's gone wrong. It's been so long since I've seen your eyes. I look up to the starlight. Which one is the brightest in the sky? Listen to the wind blow and think about how we all grow to love and remember that we hope to.
Electric guitar. Now it's time for an electric guitar track, which is the last overdub I'm going to add to this song. This is a Telecaster copy. It did say Harmonia on the headstock for those of you that are really wondering. It is all stock, other than it's missing the Harmonia logo now. I've done a little bit of setup work on it too. I'm going to use this with the Jet City JCA 20 HV 20 watt tube amp head. And I've got the cable running over the futon to the other side of the room to the cabinet, I'm probably showing video of that in Windows right now over my head somewhere. So that's the setup there. That's an SM57 on the cabinet, and it's the same Vox 10-inch speaker in the custom speaker cabinet that I've used in a lot of my videos. It sounds really great with this head, and this guitar sounds really good too. So I'm going to put down a guitar track now and check the settings for like the preamp and the fader setting, all on the Soundtracs Topaz for the guitar overdub, electric guitar overdub. Yeah, that's right.
Wake up to the sunrise, except the sun hurts my eyes. Yeah, I can't see what's wrong with me. I can't explain what's going on. It's been so long since I've seen your eyes. I look up to the starlight. Which one is brightest in the sky? Listen to the wind blow. Think about how we all grow to love and remember that we hope to reach out for something. You just never know.
Hey, you're all way up there. No, I raised the camera way up high so you can hopefully see everything that I'm going to use to do the mix of this song. I've got the DBX 163X compressor. If you remember, I used that on the snare drum during the tracking part. And the Symmetrix 501 compressor that I used on the kick drum. Now, during the mix time, I've repurposed both of those. I've got the 501 on the overhead mic above the snare drum, and I have the 163X on the vocal. I've also got the Alesis wedge reverb. Let's see what the settings are on that. I've got it set to something called Small Late. It's a room and hall combination reverb. It's just one of the presets. I thought it sounded good. It's kind of a small reverb sound, which is perfect for this kind of intimate acoustic sort of track. It's an acoustic but also a little bit funky track. So got that going on. The effects return, 8 channels worth of stuff, kick drum, snare drum, the overhead mic, the tom mic, bass guitar, acoustic guitar, the electric guitar, and the lead vocal. I've got a little bit of the reverb on one of the two drum mics, the tom mic, the one over by the toms. There's a little bit of reverb on that. So I'm going to play this track back. You're hearing the output of the master bus on the Soundtracs Topaz, as well as my voice mic that's over here on camera.
The sunrise, except the sun hurts my eyes. Yeah, I can't see what's wrong with me. I can't explain what's going on. It's been so long since I've seen your eyes.
Okay, to stop that, on the snare drum I've got a little bit of high frequency 12 kilohertz shelving on that. I've got a little bit of attack somewhere between 5 and 7K, but this is just kind of, I just listen to use my ears there. And I'm boosting a little bit around 200 or so, and even a little bit of 80 hertz to get a little bit of low end out of the snare drum. And then on the mic over the snare drum, the overhead mic, boosting a little 12K. I'm not doing anything with the high mid frequency. Really, I'm not doing anything with low mid either. I have a little bit of 80 hertz shelving filter on that, and that's going through the Symmetrix 501 compressor. I did that to be able to bring up a little bit of the toms since I didn't close mic the toms this time. And then I've got the mic over by the floor tom here, adding a little bit of 12K to that, and a little bit of 80, and a little bit of 200 with the low mid frequency band. On bass guitar, I'm boosting a little bit around 100 and a little bit of 80, and there's no compression. I didn't use any compression on the bass. Acoustic guitar, I'm bringing up a little bit of kind of low mids on the acoustic. I recorded that acoustic track on purpose, not too near the sound hole so that it didn't get too boomy in the mix. I wanted it to sound, more mandolin-ish, I guess. So that sounds pretty good, but I did add a little bit around, looks like around 200 or so to the acoustic. Other than that, the EQ's flat. The electric guitar, I'm boosting a little bit around 500. I don't know, that's just what sounded good for the tone I was getting on the electric guitar on this song. And then on the lead vocal, boosting a little bit of 12K. I'm taking out a little bit around, I don't know, let's call that about 600. Taking a little bit of that out. And that's really it. And again, I'm running the vocal now through the DVX 163X, the DVX 163X compressor. So the vocal on the way to tape, we're calling the computer tape since we're using it like a tape machine. On the way to tape, the vocal went through the Symmetrix 501, and now during the mix, it's going through the DVX 163X. So let's hear a little bit more.
Wake up to the sunrise, except the sun hurts my eyes. Yeah, I can't see what's wrong with me. I can't explain what's gone. Cast out any doubt about us, so we may learn our lesson in time to make up our mind.
I rode the vocal a little bit. I rode the vocal a little bit right there during that bridge where it gets a little louder. Rode that down and then back up for the low notes. So I'm going to print the final mix using the Soundtracs Topaz Project 8 recording console and my 3 choice pieces of inexpensive outboard gear. So check out the final mix now. I'm going to probably make a video showing all the performances and do that separate for people that don't want to watch all the creation of this. But check out this final mix. I'm going to put, shots and probably video in this too. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. But right now I'm going to mix this onto the other platform so that I can put the final mix into the video and wrap up this awesome video showcasing the Soundtracs Topaz Project 8 recording console.
Wake up to the sunrise, except the sun hurts my eyes. Yeah, I can't see what's wrong with me. I can't explain what's gone wrong. It's been so long since I've seen your eyes. I look up to the starlight. Which one is the brightest in the sky? And listen to the wind blow. Think about how we all grow to love and remember that we hope to reach out for something. You You just never know. Cast out any doubt about us, so we may learn our lesson in turn, in time, to make up our mind.
Whoa, I'm getting dizzy.